Is your retirement plan built to truly last? With inflation, taxes, market volatility, uncertainty, the plan that got you to retirement might not be the one that gets you through retirement. Today, I'll walk you through how to future-proof your retirement so you can stop worrying and start living. In this video, I'm sharing some core principles we use with clients every day to create resilient, customized retirement plans that adapt to the real world and the real future. Let's start with retirement income. Instead of a one-size-fits-all formula, we help our clients start by understanding the retirement income style. This is critical to making sure that you put in place a plan that you can actually stick with, which is more important than the perfect plan. From there, we create your flexible income strategy. This is a strategy that adjusts based on market performance and your personal needs and goals. And it's not a one-time projection, right? This is a living strategy. This strategy helps you maximize spending early in retirement when you're mobile, active, and able to actually go out and do all the things you've been dreaming of doing ahead of retirement. But it also makes sure that as the inevitable market corrections or downturns happen, as life happens, that your strategy remains sustainable throughout your entire retirement. The strategy has documented guardrails, and this helps you understand exactly when you need to make adjustments to the plan to your retirement income withdrawals. This includes documented guardrails that make it very clear when we need to take action on your plan. And this is great because when markets are bad, sometimes it's tough to make the right call when emotions get involved, and money is emotional. So having a documented plan that outlines exactly how we're going to handle volatility makes sticking to your plan that much more doable. Now, let's talk taxes. Getting your withdrawal order wrong can mean paying thousands more in taxes over your lifetime, or it can also mean losing important tax credits or even income sources like old age security. This is where things get really personal. There's not a one-size-fits-all formula. There's different rules of thumb that you may see if you've been watching other videos like this. But at the end of the day, every situation is different. And this is where planning becomes critical. Your retirement plan is not just an investment strategy, but it's a plan that helps you optimize which accounts you're taking your income from and when. So there's multiple factors that come into play here. So one is your age when you retire. If you retire early in your 60s or in your 50s, what's optimal for you is going to be a lot different than someone who's retiring closer to 70. Are you retiring before your spouse or vice versa? This could also have an impact of when and what accounts you want to be taking money out of. What are your goals? Are you more concerned about just maximizing every dollar of retirement income? Or do you have some legacy goals, money you want to pass on to future generations or onto charities that are and causes that are important to you? Again, all of these decisions, all of these goals or personal circumstances are going to affect when and how you're pulling money out of your accounts in retirement. Another consideration here is if and when you'll face an old age security clawback when RRSP minimums kick in, right? So that might be consideration where in your early 60s, if you retire, you might be wanting to take money out of your RRSPs or out of a RRSP before you take on your old age security, because that might allow you to reduce your future RRSP minimums, the amount of money the government tells you you have to take out of your RRSPs. So those RRSPs eventually become RRIFs, retirement income funds, and there is a minimum that has to come out of there. So for some people, that's actually bumping them to a higher tax bracket, bumping them into that old age security clawback threshold where they start to lose some of their old age security. So again, this is just one more consideration that you need to take into account when you're building out your plan. TFSAs, or tax-free savings accounts, they can be tricky as well, because in most scenarios, we actually want to be putting as much money into our tax-free savings accounts as we can through our retirement, getting all that tax-free growth. But sometimes it makes sense to be taking income out of our tax-free savings accounts. So for instance, if we need to make a one-time purchase where we need a lump sum of money, it's going to be a lot more tax efficient to pull that from a tax-free savings account as opposed to pulling it out of your RSP or RRIF. Additionally, depending on where your tax bracket lies, I mentioned old age security clawback, there's that threshold there. If you're taking income out of your RSP or even capital gains from selling investments in your non-registered account, that could be bumping you above those thresholds. So it could make sense to be taking some income from your tax-free savings accounts in that scenario. Non-registered accounts, a total other consideration here. So basically, they can offer you some flexibility. There's some good things about non-registered accounts because you're not paying the same amount of tax when you go to use that money that you would if you're pulling money out of your RRIF or RSP. When you pull money out of your RRSP or your RSP, that's fully taxable income, right? So however much you pull out of there, that goes right into income on your tax return. When you take money out of your non-registered account, you're paying money on capital gains. So, but anything else, when you take a withdrawal, there's no tax to be paid, right? So it can offer some flexibility. Often will also start, if you have non-registered accounts, taking your income from there first so that we can let those other tax deferred accounts continue to grow tax deferred. These rules of thumb are not very helpful because each situation is different. And since yours is unique, we want to make sure we're planning to your situation. Look, mistakes here can be costly to your retirement. Your plan needs to be tailored to your situation and it needs to be reviewed regularly because these things change as time goes on. All right, now let's think about investments in retirement. So, and I said this before, a lot of people come to me and they say, hey, Joe, I know that, stocks are where we can make money long-term, but I don't have long-term because I'm retiring now. So I have a short-term horizon. And so that is partly true. At the end of the day, hopefully you have a long and healthy retirement, 30, maybe 40 years, depending on when you're retiring and what your health looks like. So we need to account for that short-term spending where you're going to get your paycheck in the short term, but we also need to make sure that you stay ahead of inflation over time. And that's where investing in buckets comes in. Now, buckets is not the only strategy, but this is one that typically makes a lot of sense to retirees, is fairly straightforward when it comes to understanding how your money's working for you. And it's one that balances your income needs today with your long-term growth of a hopefully long, healthy retirement. Now, before we ever get to buckets, we really want to start, as I said earlier, with your retirement income style assessment, understanding what your retirement income style is. Now, if you want to know what that is, look in the description. We'll link to it, or just send us an email, info@retirementplanningsimplified.ca, and we'll send you a link so you can fill out your own retirement income style assessment, understand your retirement income style. But that is the first place we want to start before you even considering what your portfolio might look like. And that assessment is going to help you understand if you're more income protection oriented, more total return, maximizing the portfolio oriented. So there's some different considerations there. And again, as I said at the start, having the right plan for you is what's going to make it successful. Coming back to our buckets, to keep this simple, we have two buckets we can break your portfolio into. We have your defense bucket and we have your offense bucket. In your defense bucket is where you're going to hold your shorter term, low risk investments. And this is designed to provide your portfolio some insulation or protection from whatever's happening in the stock market. So stock markets could be way down. 2008 could be happening all over again, but you have a place to take some reliable income from. Now, the flip side of that is we can't have everything in there because it's not going to get you enough growth to provide income throughout your whole retirement, or at least for most people, it won't. So in your offense bucket, this is where we have that more traditional stock market exposure, globally diversified portfolio of stocks. And the idea behind this is, again, keeping you up with inflation. It is making sure you can maintain your lifestyle through retirement. When we start to look at inflation at just 3%, let's say you're taking $100,000 of income today to live, 20 years down the road, that means you're going to need about $180,000 a year. If we go 30 years down the road, you're going to need about $240,000 a year just to maintain the same lifestyle that costs $100,000 today. So it's critical you're getting growth on your portfolio. And that's why the long term can't be ignored when it comes to setting up your portfolio. Now, look, all the numbers are important. So understanding your retirement income style, making sure you're optimizing for taxes, have a plan for how you're going to handle the ups and downs in the market. But beyond that, and beyond all the other financial planning pieces we didn't even talk about today, are the things beyond the numbers. And this is what's really going to impact you living your best retirement. A future-proof retirement is also physical, it's social, it's emotional, and it's taking into account all these different needs. Ask yourself, how are you going to stay mentally and socially engaged throughout retirement? How are you going to stay active and strong? Dr. Peter Attia's book, Outlive, talks a lot about this. Highly recommended, by the way. And I've gifted it to a lot of different clients and other people that I care about. So your quality of life in retirement depends heavily on maintaining strength and stamina now. So it's not just about living longer, but it's about living better. That's something Dr. Peter Attia calls lifespan. So not, or health span. So something that isn't just how many years are you going to live, but how many years are you going to live well? right? So strength and stamina are critical here. I get it. I understand if, for a lot of people that finding the time to exercise regularly is tough when you're working. But the good news is if you're getting ready to retire, if you're like most people, you're going to be finding yourself about 40 hours a week. So figure out how are you going to build in that exercise regimen to, again, stay active, stay healthy, continue growing, and stay socially engaged throughout retirement. All right, to bring it all back together, if you want to future-proof your retirement, remember, you need to build a flexible, dynamic income plan. You need to customize your tax withdrawal strategy and keep it updated regularly. You should be looking at a portfolio that aligns with your retirement income style and accounts for your short-term spending, but your long-term retirement horizon. And you need to plan for your physical, your social, and emotional future to make the most of your retirement. And if you'd like help building a plan that takes all of this and more into account, you can visit our financial planning firm to learn about the True Wealth Roadmap at matthewsandassociates.ca. And if you just want more retirement education like this to help you plan your retirement on your own, Retirement Planning Simplified.ca is the place to go. Take care.